Hello and welcome. You're watching Mirror Now. I'm Gauri Singh. First up, let's get you all the updates coming in from Afghanistan. The Taliban continue its onslaught across Afghanistan with its southern provincial capital of Ghor captured. The Taliban has control over 18 provincial capitals across the country. Now, the capture of Ghor has been significant win for Taliban as it marked the entire southern region as Taliban territory with capital Kabul just 50 kilometers away. Meanwhile, the Taliban spokesperson Suhail Shaheen maintained that the cities are not under siege and the people of Afghanistan have in fact accepted their domination. He also said that their forces are not going to attack embassies and diplomats. However, he warned that the Indian forces should not be sent to the region. Let's listen in.
About assurance to diplomats and embassies that there is no danger from our side to them, and that we will not target any embassy, any diplomat. That we have said in our statements not once but many times. So it is our commitment that has been published already. It is in media.
To give more details on this, I am now being joined by Srinjoy Chaudhary. So, Srinjoy, help us understand and break down this latest statement coming in from Taliban and the warning of sorts that Taliban has issued towards India. So, they are saying that they are warning India to not send any kind of troops or military presence in the war-ravaged country. But given the fact India has so far hasn't propelled any idea or any proposal of sending troops to Afghanistan any which way.
Never has India even imagined sending troops to Afghanistan. So the idea of having troops at this last point is actually out of the question. India has enough problems. And India is not a country that sends troops to other countries. That's really the first point. As far as the Taliban is concerned, they have really spoken two voices. In Doha, in Qatar, they have talked about, they have been involved in negotiations. On the other hand, in Afghanistan, even in Pakistan, they are clearly on the offensive. They have made it very clear that all of Afghanistan has to be taken militarily. And yes, they have been successful to a very large extent. Kandahar has fallen. And Kandahar, of course, you could argue that it's in the south where the Taliban was strong in any case. But apart from that, places like Herat in the west have fallen. In the north, Taluqan has fallen. Kunduz has fallen. So it's a very grim situation for the government, which now says it has enough weapons, it has enough ammunition, it has air support. So the important thing is to fight it out in the gates of Kabul. We will have to see how this happens, and importantly, how the diplomatic situation pans out, because it's particularly important to ensure that there is some at least diplomatic forward movement in Qatar to ensure that there is a negotiated peace. That is really the most crucial thing right now. That is perhaps the only thing that can save the Afghan government and the Afghan people for more harassment from the Taliban. Now we will have to see what happens diplomatically and how the Afghan army, which has been cornered to an extent, will fight it out for the next 2 months.
Request you, Srinjoy, to stay with us. Some more aspects on this big story should be told to our viewers. In fact, the Taliban have captured India-built Salma Dam in the east of Herat. The dam was commissioned in 2016, where Prime Minister Modi and Afghan President Ashraf Ghani jointly inaugurated the 42-megawatt hydropower project. The reports of Taliban taking over the Salma Dam has now put India in a spot of bother. What could be more concerning in the coming days is the threat of Talibanist operations expanding beyond Afghanistan, as India is already facing terror challenges from neighbor Pakistan. And in fact, nations and organizations continue to support the Afghan government as well as forces against the rapid Taliban onslaught. While British Prime Minister Boris Johnson vowed to stand against Taliban and with Afghanistan at any cost, Canada and India said that they are closely monitoring the situation in the country. Earlier, India had also issued a travel advisory to all its nation living in Afghanistan to return to India. Now, even Canada has signed an MOU with an NGO to resettle a group of vulnerable Afghan Sikh and Hindu families out of Afghanistan. On the other hand, the United Nations too have expressed concern over the humanitarian crisis that is unfolding in the region, while NATO envoys met and extended support to the Afghan government and security forces in the face of Taliban's offensive.
Afghanistan is spinning out of control. In the last months alone, more than 1,000 people have been killed or injured from indiscriminate attacks against civilians, notably in Helmand, Kandahar, and Herat provinces. The fighting between the Taliban and Afghan security forces in urban environments is causing tremendous harm. At least 241,000 people have been forced to flee from their homes, and humanitarian needs are growing by the hour. Hospitals are overflowing. Food and medical supplies are dwindling. Roads, bridges, schools, clinics, and other critical infrastructure are being destroyed. Every day, the conflict is taking an even bigger toll on women and children.
So Sanjoy Chaudhary is still with us. So Sanjoy, we just heard UN chief giving out a statement, and even several nations and international organizations have been coming forward and giving out statements and even vowing support to the war-ravaged country. But in reality, does it mean anything? Because we are seeing since months now that this particular country has been left alone to fend for itself.
The important point, first of all, the Sar Dam. Yes, it was built by the Indians, but it has been handed over to Afghanistan. So currently, it's an Afghan asset. If Taliban have taken it over, well, it is up to the Afghan National Army to take it back. The problem with Afghanistan is that there is very little that can be done or has been done so far, primarily because at this point, the Americans have left. And once the Americans left, there was a vacuum which the Taliban took over with the help of Pakistan. It has to be said that at this point, the Taliban soldiers are supported by Pakistan in terms of weapon, in terms of equipment. We are also hearing that sometimes Pakistani officers, some of them retired, recently retired, have also been involved in tactical planning. So it has to be seen what can be done. Yes, the Taliban has taken over about 2/3 of Afghanistan, maybe more, including major towns, which was not expected, particularly in the north and the west. But now the Afghan army is supposed to have enough weapons, enough ammunition. So we will have to see what happens now that the Taliban are at the gates of Kabul.
Right. Thank you, Sanjoy, for sharing all those details. In fact, moving on, as Taliban advances across the lens of Afghanistan, uncertainty and also fear loom over women as well as the children as their future looks bleak under Taliban rule. The teachers shared their horrid stories back from the heyday of Taliban when the Islamic fundamentalists controlled everything from daily activities to education and even their clothing and work as far as women were concerned. Let's listen in to some of them as they narrate their ordeal.
همه چیز داره از دست میره واقعا ناامید شدم و دمی یکی دو روز فقط همینقدر تلاش میکنم که دوستانم رو بیشتر ببینم حداقل برنامه هایی که میخواستم خودم در طول چندین سال بعد انجام بدم اونا رو با بقیه شریک میکنم که اگر یکی از ما زندمان او بتونه بقیه برنامه ها رو پیش ببره. حلالیت میطلبم از دوستانم اگه به کسی حرفی زدیم کاری کردیم که رنجیده شده چون اگر طالب بیاید مطمئن هستم که ما زنده نخواهیم ماند و چیزی دیگه بر گفتن ندارم. میفهمم که ما رو میکشن.
دخترکا داخل رکشا شیشته بودن از کورس میرفتن طرف خانهشان. قسم چبلی پای ما در پایشون چبلی بوده. اوها را از رکشا پایین کردن، لطکوب کردن همراه کیبل که چرا قسم چبلی میپوشه که جوانا را خراب بکنی؟
Time to slip into a very short break. Stay tuned to Mirror Now.